So I'm Nikki Brock. I am 35 years old. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I am a black unicorn. A black unicorn is basically what makes one unique, what sets us apart from, what do we have to offer that no one else has to offer, or what someone thinks of when they think of a specific person, their uniqueness. So when someone is like, Nikki Brock, you're a black unicorn, what I would say is what it is that sets me apart from anybody else. So that's what would make me a black unicorn. So everyone's a black unicorn in their own way, but I have my own, set of, what would it say, crafts or trades or characteristics that would make me a black unicorn. I had to grow up, really quickly at a young age because I had a sick parent, and I had my other parent wasn't one to work. They did more of the caretaking. So there were a lot of things that I went without, having to take care of a sick parent. Like, you have to learn to cook, you have to make sure that, your clothes are ready. You have to figure out ways to make sure that you're going to eat, and make sure that you have clothes on your back, clean clothes, because you have to take care of that parent, but you also have school. So it kind of gave me the hard work ethic. But I do know that when I was in that situation, I said to myself that I did not want to live this way for the rest of my life. So I had to figure out ways to make sure that I was better than the next person, that I was going to always be ahead of the next person. Like, I looked at how everyone else worked, and I made sure that I have to work harder than that person if I want to get to X goals. So I had to always set goals to make sure, and I had to always have a plan on how I was going to achieve that goal. And any goal that I've ever achieved, I never stopped there. I just, kind of created a new goal. So I went to school. Well, I went to college. I worked full time, because I didn't have, the funds, or parents that I could, kind of depend on to send me money. So I worked full time, went to school, made sure I finished. I did internships to make sure that I have, some experience when I was getting out of school. So with that internship, I worked really hard. The internship was over, and they offered me a full-time position due to my work ethic. That was around the time I pledged. So the reason why I pledged was just because it kind of went along with what I've been doing my whole life, helping out everybody else, trying to figure out ways to make my environment and my community better. But one of my sorors, which is good to have a network, had let me know about an accounting position. So I applied for the position. I ended up getting it. It was, a large nonprofit organization, but it had small staffing. So I was kind of forced to wear many hats within the organization. So I learned a lot. And, I still worked with people who I always knew I wanted to be better than. So everything that they weren't willing to do, I was. That was my opportunity to kind of soak everything up and really learn. And before I knew it, I learned everything in the organization from a financial standpoint. I ended up having some things that were pushed my way, and I started realizing that I was doing more than what I probably should have been doing for the amount of money that I was receiving. I received a call back from my immediate supervisor, who had offered me a chief level position at a pretty large nonprofit, just because he'd known that I'd worked really hard at getting to know the organization and trying to keep things in order, and also trying to better myself. So he gave me an opportunity at 27 years old to come back and be a chief financial officer. Like, that's almost unheard of. I'm sure it's been done, but not by many, not by, a young black female who, I was the first one to go to college in my family. I didn't, have any Greeks. I didn't have that mentorship and things like that. So I kind of really latched on to him for that, because this is a CEO of a company. I have direct line of communication with him. I can learn a lot from this person. So I ended up going back, and here I am 27 years old, and I'm a chief financial officer. So, you know, and I'm something like a big deal because, you know, you go and you meet people and everybody's looking at you like, what does this girl have to offer? What is she doing here? How did she get where she is? So those were like some huge hurdles that I had to, you know, had to cross and trying to prove myself. And, you know, for the most part, I did prove myself with my work, but you always have these people that you're dealing with, and they're kind of like, you know, they just feel like there's a certain order that you have to go through in order to get where you need to be. So, you know, most of them I was able to turn just because they were able to see my work and my work ethic, and also see somebody like me personally, and, you know, see what I was doing with my community, and that I really did care about people, you know. So I've always been one to want to give back, and I feel like because I've always been one to want to give back and help others, it's always put me at a level, like it's helped me to exceed, and, you know, really I'm tremendously blessed, you know, and I just feel like my blessings have come because I've given so many blessings to other people. So I just feel like it's a cycle. So no matter what has been thrown my way, all I know is that as long as I help the next person, or, you know, I work hard, then it's gonna always come back on me tenfold. That life is all about choices. You're never gonna make the perfect decision. You know, we can all like be down on ourselves, but it's all in, you know, some of us make the right choices the first time, and that's great. You move on to your next big battle, or, you know, big choice or big road. But for those who, you know, make the wrong decision, you can fix it. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to be like, oh, well, you know, I made this decision and I messed up my life. Don't let anybody ever make you feel like any mistake is messing up your life. Like every decision that you make, if it's a bad decision, it can be fixed. But you have to understand that. You have to understand that you're going to have to work for things. You know, if you don't get things your way right away, you don't just give up. You are in control of your fate. You know, if you want to be a CEO, a CFO, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or if you just want to be a housewife, you put yourself in a position, you set yourself up to be whatever it is that you want to do. You can't just sit by and let life happen and think that something is just going to fall in your lap or it's going to be given to you. You really have to work for anything that you're trying to do. And I guess maybe one other bit of advice is you can't be dependent on other people for what your fate or what your destiny is. Like if you want it, you can't depend on somebody else. You can't say, well, I have to wait for my parents didn't have the money to pay for this or help me get here, or, you know, this person isn't helping me, or you cannot wait for anybody else. You know, you have to own up to things yourself. You know, you can't be dependent on anybody, and then, you know, it's kind of a scapegoat, because if it doesn't work out, you're like, oh, it's because of this. You make excuses. But if you really want something bad enough, you have to do it yourself.
All right. That was really good. That's it.
Really? Okay. It's really hard to express, you know, like when you go through, you don't want anybody to know about your lows, but you do have them. You know, I don't want to wallow in pity and all that good stuff. I don't want to do that. I share my positive, but I've never, like with you guys, of course, y'all know most of my lows and things like that, but you don't want to share that with everybody. You just want to share the positive, and, you know, you want everybody to see all the good things, but you have to go through a lot of things that most people aren't willing to, you know, to go through, because most people are like, this shit is for the birds, you know, and they give up. But that's not how you continue to climb to the top. The minute you give up, I mean, you can always come back, but you just never give up. Never give up.